Hello, everybody. Today we're here with the wonderful Nina Ashby. Hello, Nina.
Hello, Shauna, and hello, everybody. Lovely to see you wherever you are in the world, whatever time, whatever place. We are one big community together. I'm so pleased to be here.
Oh, you're so wonderful, Nina. I've known Nina a year and a bit now, and the connection that I had with her on meeting her was absolutely wonderful. And it's just nice to share her with you today here in this space. When I was speaking of energy there, Nina, you actually do call yourself an energy align expert, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. And you are, because we're instantly aligned. But can you explain what that is for you and what led you to develop yourself in the way that you're working?
Well, I call myself an energy alignment expert because all of my life have been able since birth to be able to see energy. As I see auras, I see colors, I see dots, I see it around every living thing, and what other people don't consider to be living things, like crystals, which I know are living things, because everything has intelligence. It's created, so just vibrates at a different frequency and different speed. So I've spent my life having to really be very different from other people, being born in a time people didn't talk about these things, didn't talk about energy. I was always very drawn to discovering what I was seeing because I wasn't getting answers. So I had to go through a lot of personal discovery, and I was pushed from the inside to find answers because I felt very out of alignment with society, with expectations, within my emotions. And so I needed answers. And those answers had to come from some kind of curiosity that was pushing me. And so I've dedicated my whole life to understanding, what does alignment mean physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and how they all work together. And when I was 3 years old, for example, I remember standing on the steps and looking down at my mother and telling her what I saw around her. And her face was, "That's interesting." And then she changed the subject. I was a smart 3-year-old. I got it. I wasn't supposed to say anything. I wasn't supposed to do anything. And if I dared say anything, I'd get the cold look, "we're not supposed to talk about this" look. But, and people don't think children understand. Let me tell you, they understand everything. And they know how to survive and be safe and shut it all down. So that was my first real conscious memory of, shall we say, a realization, as only a 3-year-old can have, but the first realization that I didn't perceive the world and interact with the world in the way that other people did, because they weren't seeing what I was seeing. They weren't feeling or experiencing what I was feeling, and there was no explanations for me. So my need to know, my inner drive to find out why I was being rejected and why I wasn't acceptable, that's the way it felt to me, led me to learn a lot and seek a lot. And fortunately, I was born in the 1950s, and that, I grew up in a time where this opening of consciousness, this going into spirituality was the beginning of a movement in that direction. But there were no courses. I had to study art, perception, psychology, healing, so many different things, meditation. And through that pathway, exploring my discomfort, exploring my pain, asking a lot of uncomfortable questions of myself and to other people, making them uncomfortable, and making decisions that offended people. For example, I remember being told in my meditations to go to London for 2 weeks. I was running a yoga center. I was told in my meditations, go to London, go to London. Does Spirit tell you how to do things or why you should do things? No. Spirit just says, do this. Yes, no, maybe. They give you very vague instructions, right? So after 2 weeks of arguing with Spirit, or whatever you want to call it, my higher self, God, whatever, I said, okay, if I need to go to London, it will be made so. So I started a process whereby I made some dates, I sent out some letters, and immediately magic started happening. But everybody said I was mad. I was running a yoga center. I had a quiet life. I had a successful thing. But then I just thought, no, I've got to do this. I've got to follow my inner instruction. And I went and I met the man who became my husband the day after I arrived. So that was, you follow your inner void, the inner voice, and you get rewarded for it. But you don't know that in advance. There's risk. And that's one of many risks that I took in my life to stay aligned. So my passion is to work with people who are committed to finding their spiritual purpose and living their spiritual purpose, and to support them to develop and guide them to develop their awareness, to stay connected with themselves so they can live more simply and boldly in their lives, having more of what they want and what they need at a very deep level, in a way that's serious fun, because spirituality is fun. It's not just pain and doom and gloom. It's only painful and doom and gloom, or mostly painful and doom and gloom, when you're not listening, when you're resisting. So staying aligned means checking in, and it means looking at your resistance as like flashing lights, road signs on the way, like, ooh, pay attention. And then you say, what do I need to do with this information? So that's what my passion is. And I do it in lots of different ways. So I think calling myself an energy alignment expert really describes I'm into energy, I'm into alignment, and I have developed a lot of experience and expertise in my life that I really want to share with other people, not only in knowledge and in action, but through hopefully inspiring them for me being true to myself and being a living example as much as possible of that.
Oh, absolutely awesome, Nina. You touched on some wonderful things in there, which is so crucial to having a free life where freedom is at the core of it. And one of them is faith, just going where your inner guidance, your gut instinct tells you to go, not knowing whatever's going to be there. You just go and follow, and it's in that space, everybody, that Nina's talking about, where the magic and the miracles happen, as she said too.
Oh God, I could talk about miracles. I mean, it's so incredible when you're in alignment. Spirit, just the energy flows, people, opportunities, all kinds of opportunities to receive and to give, because they go hand in glove, don't they?
They do indeed. Yeah. There's yeah, where there's that give and receive, there is always flow, always ease and grace. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, and the faith and belief always bring the outcome. So tell me about the people then that you've been working with and why they're coming to see you, and you know what kind of problems they're experiencing and how you help them overcome those.
Well, a lot of the people who come to see me come for reasons that are external, like their relationships don't work, or they're having problems with their family, or they're having probably finding a relationship. So, or they don't know what to do in their lives, or they're hypersensitive and don't know how to deal with their sensitivity, you know, being super empathic or having psychic experiences that they can't explain. Why did they get ill? But they go to the doctor and there's no there's no evidence that there's anything wrong with them. Are they crazy? Are they not? So I've spent a very long time just being able to discern through my ability to see their energy field what's going on with them from an energy point of view. Because I've had a lot of work as a therapist, I do know some things about health. I've done a lot of work on nutrition and diet. I exercise, but also understanding the connection between the psyche and the physical body, that there is no difference between the mind and the body. They just manifest in different ways. So that one's health state, which we can look at coming back to this idea of alignment and out of alignment, or dis-ease, or being ill at ease within oneself. There's some kind of problem that is cropping up in people's lives that they want answers to. So looking at issues like loss, confusion of self, about who one is, confusion about who they are versus what other people are, or what other people's expectations are, or even I have a feeling, but I don't know if it's my feeling or their feeling. And just because I have that feeling, do I have to act on it? And so it's about clearing a lot of questions for people. So this can happen by me giving them a reading, which is a form of healing information and guidance for them to realign their awareness or their vision or perception of who they are, the choices that they've made, potential consequences in their life, or from a therapeutic standpoint, a more intentionally therapeutic standpoint, by doing Akashic record readings or healings, channeling at a high level, working with their unconscious mind, because I'm a hypnotherapist. I have a very large skill set in lots of different areas, but all connected to this idea that everything is connected. And if I've found that the people who have this subtle awareness and don't know what to do with it and want alignment, have a connection to discovering more about their spiritual self, they have to meet their resistance. And so I'm there to hold their backs and meet their resistance with them, so that they can have that experience of self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, understanding, and that happens in a lot of different ways. And when they can feel happier in their lives, when they can feel more resolved and more aligned with their sense of, oh, I'm on the right track, and actually I do have a purpose and a track, what happens is they're more effective in their lives, and they can go out and inspire others and lead a better, happier life. So the kinds of problems, even to, old karmic problems. I work also a lot with people who have spirit attachments they bring in from past lives, aliens, dark forces and entities. I've been doing that work for a very long time, and it's a very skilled work, and it also demands that I keep myself strong and clear so I don't get infected by their spiritual problem, and that I'm sending whatever it is that's attached to them to the right place, because everything is created from light. Everything is of the light, even in the darkness. And if you read in Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah, for example, one of the very primary tenets is that God created everything, the light and the darkness, everything. So you have to, everything goes back to the light. And that's all that I'm here for. I'm a torchbearer of the light. And my vision is to help to clear people and stay clear myself. That's my job.
Yeah. And a beautiful job it is too. And how you do it so well, Nina. That's one of the things that I instantly saw about you when we met was your light, your level of conscious awareness, and you know the depth of the work that you were capable of doing. And it is a skill that not many know, the levels of that exist in the dark and the light and what they consist of. So somebody like yourself, Nina, is a crucial part of the light torchbearers, if you like, the light workers, and because you keep humanity pure whilst they're not realizing what's going on in them. You're like a guardian of purity, and that's a wonderful attribute.
I like to think that I'm part of a group, a soul group, or several soul groups that have been contracted or agreed to come be on the earth plane at this time in order to be a counterbalance to the darkness.
And that's why you're with us, Nina.
We're all together. I would like to really, I hope you don't mind, was in preparing for this, I was trying to think of stories, because stories are always the best way to convey things. So I was in New York, living in New York City, and I had a regular group of people that I meditated with, a Tibetan Buddhist group. And one day I was sitting around with some friends of mine, and I said, oh, let's sit down and have a meditation. So we just sat down, and I was shown literally like a woven web, not like a spider's web, but more like a mesh, a golden mesh web all the way around Earth. It was like I was taken up and I could see the Earth. And then I saw this golden mesh web of light with pinpoints of light along this web, and then focusing down into the Earth, like millions of dots of light all over that was connecting with this web. This was before the internet, before the World Wide Web. So what I know is that everything, everything is already created, and we're manifesting these things. Yes. We are the web of light. And I had an idea about what it meant at that time, and it was very thrilling. But now here we are, conscious living global. Mm-hmm. It's a worldwide network of light workers, yes, from all over the globe. from, that are manifesting in their own special individual ways through their soul purpose and the contract to bring the light to the fore for the good of humanity, of this earth, the planet. Now, I'm pretty grounded as a psychic. I am not a flaky, hippy dippy person. I'm quite serious about what I do, and I can explain everything that I do. It's not like, oh, spirit told me it must be true. When something's true, when it's lined up, or when the lies are there. I do, at least, because there's a certain pattern that goes with that replicated down the planes of sensation. So I'm not talking I'm talking something that's real, that exists, and that so many more people are interested in connecting with, because people feel empty. They want to be connected so they can be filled.
That is so true, because there's one of the reasons why this is here now is because of the call of humanity for help and assistance, and this is the answer being provided that you're a lovely, wonderful part of. And what I loved as well there is you voicing of the realness over New Age. There's a difference between the two, and the conscious realness in regards to connection with spirit is, as you say, much more pure and grounded, and has truth to it, and it's got a whole feel of I can't think of the word I'm actually wanting right now, but it feels like home. It gives you a sensation of being safe rather than being all floating in the air, and that's wonderfully explained by you there, Nina, I have to say.
Thank you.
It was so
I think that, for many years in my own process, I thought that I had to go seek out there for spirituality. And yes, the world is a mirror. We learn through those experiences, but everything lies within.
Yeah.
And one's spiritual life is not separate from any part of your life. Whether it's doing something very basic, like your personal hygiene on a physical level, about where you live, about maintenance, about how you maintain your physical environment, your body, the care with which you tend your physical plane activities. These are all important. Your care with which you devote your how you feel about your career and what you're doing in the world, and are you trapped? Are you stuck? Or, how do you get yourself out of it? How do you confront difficult situations and decisions? All of these things have concrete answers, but they don't necessarily come by looking down. The answers come by looking up, by raising your vibration or raising yourself up, so you're standing on the mountain looking down rather than being in the valley, looking up and feeling that you're swamped or overwhelmed. Yeah. So the light, as a light worker or an alignment worker, what I do is I try to shed light so people can actually see, so they can start to be more dispassionately observant rather than completely swamped by their emotions, to get perspective.
You separate the wood from the trees, which is wonderful. So when we talk about helping people to see, how do people come out the other side and thrive in their lives? as a result of working with you?
Well, one of the first things that I do is tell them about their dominant energy color, because I can see that. I can see all the colors in their aura, but I can see their dominant energy color. So the colors in one's aura and chakras often shift and change, and in different ways, at different frequency rates. So there are, like, we have things that fleeting ideas, and so they're little flashes of color, or we have beliefs that we hold to us that don't change very much, and so those colors don't change very, very rapidly until we go through a period of change. And then there's more cyclical changes that happen. So those colors are reflected in the field, but everybody's born with a dominant energy color. And that dominant energy color acts as a filter through which all of the other colors are projected. And so by me explaining to them, well, this is your dominant energy color. This is the reason why you've incarnated. These are your talents and abilities gained from previous lifetimes that you bring to bear upon this lifetime. And they can be anything. They can be good organizational skills. They can be, executive skills. They can be musical or artistic talents. They can be great sense of humor, writing. Think of all the things, the great things that people come into the world with that they find hard to acknowledge about themselves. So it's about getting a balanced view. Those are your assets and abilities, but then you come in with your challenges, which relate to what you're learning in this lifetime. And so those challenges are repetitive. And they differ according to the dominant energy color of the individual. So by explaining that, the first thing that happens is like, oh, you mean it's not kind of punishment, or it's not something that I did, that, it kind of takes the onus off them. They understand, they can put their lives into a different context, something, the bigger picture. It's a reframe, as we say in NLP. So there's a lot of in-depth information about that. And then from there we go on to being able to say, well, that's your patterns. How can we address those patterns? What can we do? What can you do on a practical level to, if you want to change, if you want to work within that context, and understand that limitation is really about a different way of focusing on things rather than just pure obstruction. So they can learn the warning signals. First, you can't change until you observe yourself. So it's about developing that observer and understanding the warning signs, and then teaching them some skills or techniques to check in. How do I check in? Check into my center, to identify what your center is, and then to learn skills and rehabituate to be more positively have a more positive mindset over negative, and looking at these things. Discover new joy and gratitude in their lives. To really have a sense of connection to themselves, and then finding they're able to connect with other people in the world in a new and different way. It is the most rewarding work. It is, and you don't have to be hugely psychically talented, or you don't have to be a certain way, because everybody has these skills. Everybody comes with the radar. The radar is how we ooh, am I safe? Am I safe? Should I speak to this person? Should I stay in this place? Is it dangerous? Is it not? It's all part of our survival mechanism. So how do you work with it rather than have it work against you? And they thrive because the more they tune in, the more fruitful they are, the more things start to flow for themselves, the more joy they have in their lives, the less negative voices there are in their head, the more they're able to reach out and ask people for help, or to learn to be more independent, depending where their difficulty lies. So people come out the other side and thrive in their lives as a result of me being a facilitator for that process. But they're doing the work. I'm facilitating it. I've got their back. And I can do that in lots of ways. You know, I can do it just through a reading, or I could do it through a longer process where you dig down deep and then deal with the habituation. So it's all very varied, very exciting, and super rewarding, because I know that the more I can facilitate the light that lives, people's connection to their own light, the stronger and brighter they shine in the world and spread the light out to other people. And to me, that's living my spiritual purpose.
Oh, how wonderful. That is actually just a wonderful note to conclude on, really, because it says everything. You've said everything about you so beautifully and what you do, but what is key in there is that this is available to everybody. That's the, you know, and that's an important part of it. People have this idea of specialness, and that, you know, only certain people can do certain things. That's not the case. Everybody has the ability to connect with this light, have freedom in their lives, the ability to manifest easily and grace, and, you know, have their visions and their own purpose become real in their lives. And the fact, Nina, that you are one of the primary torchbearers, if you like, of this work is wonderful. Wonderful to have you with us, and it's wonderful to share you today. You know, Nina has such a lot to offer everybody, and you can connect with her personally through our website, and find her website and any details at itsatoughworldouthere.com. And Nina makes it not so tough, and she makes it fun. And
fun. Tough fun, tough love.
Oh, is there anything else that you want to add, Nina, before we finish?
But yeah, I guess to say that, you know, most people can make it be far tougher, harder on themselves than anybody else could be on them. And so it's about getting over ourselves, finding a way to laugh more and to share more. And it's been a pleasure to share with you this day. And I look forward to connecting with everybody who wishes to connect to me. If you feel that that's the right thing to do, well, reach out and we can have some kind of connection. We'll discover that.
Wonderful. It's been an absolute joy to speak to you today, Nina, as always. And yeah, we'll see you much more of you, I'm sure, in many different ways and avenues. I just see it all flowing out already. And thank you so much for being with us, and I love you deeply. Thank you, Nina.